upset win last weekend, a victory over the Calgary Stampeders tonight, but put the Roughriders back in the race. You are looking live at McMahon Stadium in Calgary as the road to the Grey Cup continues on CBC Sports.
Football, the CFL on CBC.
Two rookie quarterbacks figured prominently in the opening game of the CFL season. Rick Warman's pass to Larry Willis gave the Calgary Stampeders a victory over Jeff Bentram and the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Thereafter, Warman was relegated to the sidelines to watch while Rick Johnson regained the #1 job with the Stampeders. The same fate befell Jeff Bentram while Tom Burgess became Saskatchewan's #1 quarterback. But injuries have given both another chance, and last week Warman led the Stampeders to an upset win over Hamilton. Jeff Bentram was part of a major upset. He started and finished in victory over the BC Lions. Fate has seen to it that Bentram and Warman face each other again tonight for the first time since the season opener. We welcome our viewers from wherever you're watching to the CFL on CBC. From coast to coast, your Grey Cup Network.
CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Breweries. The CFL, it's the game around here. Petro-Canada dealers and agents. Our energy is Canada. And by Air Canada, celebrating 50 years of serving Canadians at home and around the world.
Good evening, everybody. Both the Calgary Stampeders and Saskatchewan Roughriders have struggled this season, and a while ago this game did not hold a whole lot of promise, but it does now, as the Stampeders have won 5 of their last 6, and the Roughriders are coming off that major upset of the BC Lions last weekend. Ron Lancaster is in Toronto getting ready for tomorrow's telecast of the BC Lions and the Argonauts. We welcome another Hall of Famer to the broadcast booth tonight. Jackie Parker is with Don Whitney.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. I always enjoy visiting with Jackie Parker, whether it's at the football park or on the golf course, and we're pleased to have Jackie lending his expertise to our telecast tonight. JD, I know you're looking forward to watching these two rookie quarterbacks play.
Well, that's right, I am, Don. I've seen a lot of these quarterbacks this year, and really to be consistent, all they need is a little bit more experience because they both got real good ability, and I'm expecting big games from both of them tonight.
Well, Rick Warman is certainly capable of putting the ball in the air, and when he throws it, he has two talented receivers to toss to, Larry Willis and Emmanuel Tolbert.
Well, Willis off to a great start, and of course, Tolbert's the kind of guy, when we play Calgary, we always think we have to double team him at times to contain him because he's their big play guy.
Defensively, the Saskatchewan Roughriders created 10 turnovers last week against the BC Lions. Bobby Jurison is the leader in sacks in the CFL.
That's right. He's tied with Stuart Hill in Edmonton, and Skipper, of course, is one of those kind of defensive backs. He leads the league in yards returned on pass interception, so he's a fine player.
And when it comes to the kicking game, in capable hands with Dave Ridgway and J.T. Hay on both sides of the ball.
Certainly two of the best in the league. As a matter of fact, Ridgway, I think, has made them all from 40 yards and out.
And he had that big one, the record 60-yarder against Winnipeg back on Labor Day. Well, we're looking forward to this one, Calgary and Saskatchewan. Before the opening kickoff, let's rejoin Scott Oak.
Don, there was a lot of reaction this week when the salary of CFL Commissioner Doug Mitchell was made public. At halftime and inside the CFL, we'll be joined live by Saskatchewan General Manager Bill Baker, and among other things, we'll get his thoughts on the effects of having the figure made public in these lean CFL economic times. We'll also have a feature report on a new feeling in the camp of the Calgary Stampeders now that the Stamps are winning football games once again. That's at halftime on Inside the CFL. The opening kickoff is next when the CFL on CBC returns.
It's a very pleasant evening in Calgary with a temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. The wind could be a factor early in the ball game, but they're expecting the winds to decrease in velocity as the evening progresses. Ross Perrier is the referee this evening, and the other members of the officiating staff are moving into position to get this game underway, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders kicking off to the Calgary Stampeders. Ron Hopkins has dropped back along with Kirby Warren to return Dave Ridgway's kickoff.
You know, that wind is swirling out there. I can't really tell you right now which way it is blowing, Don. It certainly is going to be a factor in the game, but it must be blowing toward the north.
Well, you've had enough experience in this ballpark as both a player and a coach. The winds here can be very unpredictable. They can swirl, they can change direction. You never really know what is going to happen. Kirby Warren starts out from the 5-yard line. And with a couple of blocks, he works his way out to the 33-yard line, and that's where Rick Warman will lead the offense. 1st and 10. A couple of new people in the backfield.
That's Kirby Warren on the return.
Yeah, McVay has played very, very well for them at a spot position. He usually comes in on short yardage and is the blocking back, but he's played very well. So I think, I know I talked to the coach this morning. He has a lot of confidence in him.
Robert Turner is a new receiver. This will be his first game in a wideout position. He was with the Stampeders earlier as a defensive back with Fred Biletnikoff on the scene as their receivers coach. They decided to try and convert him into a receiver, and he's worked out quite well. Kirby Warren on the first play from scrimmage, and he picks up a couple of yards. Gary Allen and Tim Petrus are both out of the Stampeder lineup as the result of injuries. Dave Albright and Lynn Madsen combined to bring down Kirby Warren. That front four, Jackie, is as tough as any team in the league.
Well, all very experienced people. Gary Lewis, one of the best defensive linemen in the league, and just got activated over there in Saskatchewan. And along with those other guys, they're a very formidable front four.
Mike Magruder is back in the corner, replacing Norris Gibbs, who was injured in last week's win against the BC Lions. Warman completes the pass, and it should be a first down. Well, let's see where they spot it. Steve Crane came over to make the tackle on Kirby Warren.
Well, it's going to be a couple of yards short of a first down, but that don't necessarily mean with Calgary that they're going to punt the ball, because they've been known to gamble, but it looks like they will be getting into punt formation on this one.
Well, they have gambled on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7. You never really know what Larry Kuharich, the head coach, has in mind, but with Glenn Harper lined up in punt formation at his own 25-yard line, I think it's safe to say that they will be kicking the football. Not a particularly good kick into the wind, a short one. Ball is fumbled, and it's recovered by the Calgary Stampeders. Tony Dennis had it bounce away on the short kick, and it is recovered by Glenn Harper, the kicker, who got up there and got involved in the play. It looked like a pretty good return of 17 yards for Tony Dennis until he lost it right here on the hit that is put on by Darcy Cobb.
Well, that was a real good return, too. He came up and fielded the ball good. Looked like it was going to have real good field position for the Roughies, but a big break early for Calgary.
Those are the things that are causing a few more gray hairs for John Gregory. A couple of times this year it appeared as though the Roughriders had ball games won, and suddenly they would turn around, including that season opener against the Calgary Stampeders. They're going to give Kirby Warren a lot of work, it would appear, tonight as both a runner and a pass receiver.
Well, you know, it's surprising. They're coming out and establishing that running game, trying to, but looking at the stats, you know, Calgary is one of the top rushing teams in the league. I think they do have the most yards rushing in the league.
They have the most net yards rushing and the highest average yards rushing per game. They've gone over 100 yards on an average every game, 116.4 as a matter of fact. They're now looking at 2nd down and 4. Knocked away. Good defensive play by Magruder, who came up to bat it away from Larry Willis. Of course, Magruder has something to prove. When you reflect back to that season opener, he was beaten on the game-winning touchdown throw from Warman to the same Larry Willis.
Yes, he sure was. I tell you one thing, he covered very, very well on that. It was just a step away from picking that off and putting it in the Calgary end zone.
Well, Glenn Harper will be kicking again, this time from the 39-yard line. And this is a better kick than the previous one. Fuller takes it at the 10. Nowhere to go. Downfield very quickly was Tony Pearson. He did a good job of covering on that Glenn Harper punt of 46 yards. We'll be back right after this. Maternity alert for the past couple of weeks, and we're pleased to announce that last Sunday a new baby arrived in the Scott Oak household. Scott, you don't happen to have a picture, do you? Do we have to see all of them again? Darcy Stewart arriving on Sunday. Congratulations to Scott and Ann. First and 10 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The ball is at the 9-yard line. Jeff Bentram side-arming it to Ellingson. Ray McDonald, I should say, and he is out to the 20-yard line, close to a first down. McDonald and Narcisse made their debut against the Edmonton Eskimos a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, they played well, too. That was just a little short pass over the middle, and they had the blocking set up pretty well. Picked up a big 9 yards. They're just trying to get out of that big hole that Ben Harper put him in with that punt.
Ken Moore moving into Brian Illebrun's offensive tackle or guard position. Illebrun suffered that broken arm against the BC Lions. They try and get a first down, but the Calgary Stampeders pile things up. Eugene Beliveau and Bernie Morrison combined to make the stop, and a measurement will be required to determine whether or not it is a first down.
Yeah, we referred to that front four of Saskatchewan's earlier. You know, this front four of Calgary's, they're very, very tough, and especially against short yardage. But I think he's just going to barely make that first down.
John Gregory sending in a play with Tony Dennis going into the ball game. The measurement reveals a Saskatchewan first down. Harold Hallman has regained the form that carried him to such prominence last year at the defensive tackle position.
Yeah, he seemed to have problems early in the year, but right now he's always around the football.
Walter Bender struggles for about 3 or 4 yards. He is likely going to be looking at 2nd and 7.
Geez, I'd like to have 25 cents for every tackle Morrison's been in on over the years.
Bernie's a veteran competitor with the Calgary Stampeders, and he leads the team in tackles. I think he's played 153 games as a Stampeder. 2nd and 7 facing the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 10:50 remaining in a still scoreless opening quarter. Bentram to put it in the air again. It's incomplete, intended for Ray Elgard, and Saskatchewan is now forced into a punting situation.
Good defensive play there by Peterson, but those are the kind that Elgard usually gets. You know, he's got great hands. He's not got all the speed in the world, but just an absolute great hand receiver.
So Terry Baker, a graduate of Acadia University, his first punt of the ball game. He stands at his 7-yard line. And it's an end-over-end kick that will bounce on the artificial turf and is picked up by Darcy Kopp at the 43. And Kopp works his way out to the 52. So on the kick exchange, the Calgary Stampeders gain yards.
Yeah, well, you can tell it is a very, very important game for both of these teams, because on those special teams, they're really getting downfield, and there's a lot of leather popping out there, to use an old phrase.
There was a penalty on the play, and this one is going to be marched off against the Stampeders, taking it back to the 33-yard line. An illegal block assessed against Calgary on the punt return. So it is 1st and 10 for the Stampeders. They are at their own 34.
Both these teams really feeling each other out. They've played each other before, of course, but really a lot of different personnel playing right now than there was.
That was back in the 21st of June, and Calgary, with that late touchdown, won it 29-28. The game that Saskatchewan appeared to have won. Kirby Warren, the ball carrier again, and Dave Albright, the middle linebacker, made the tackle.
2nd and 6.
Since taking over as head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, Larry Kuharek replacing Bob Vespasiani on August the 18th, the Stampeders have been more successful, not only in the number of points they have scored and in the rushing game, but they have only lost once since Kuharek took over. They were 2-6 at the time of the change in coaches. Kirby Warren, the intended receiver again.
Yeah, you know,
Jurison was pressuring the quarterback, Warren.
In talking with Poley, one of the Calgary Stampeders real old-timers. He says they just got a great attitude in camp these days. He said he's really having fun out there, so maybe that's got something to do with it.
So again, Glenn Harper drops back in punt formation at the 22-yard line.
Executive hold worth over $250,000.
Just one man back, that is Fuller. He takes it at the 25. Fuller is going to lose yards. He's dropped back at the 17-yard line. There's also a penalty flag. Matt Finlay got back there to make the tackle. A loss of 8 yards on the attempted return by Fuller. Well, John Gregory watched Joe Fuller lose 8 yards on the attempted return and then saw an illegal block called against Scott Reddle to move his team even further back as the Saskatchewan head coach sees his club scrimmage for the second time from the 9-yard line.
Yeah, Glenn Harper doing a good job keeping the Roughies in the hole. Glenn Harper, a Washington State graduate. He's an Alberta boy.
The pitch to Walter Bender, and he picks up just a couple of yards before being stopped by Eugene Beliveau. Jeff Bentram, the rookie quarterback of the Roughriders, didn't really throw the ball that much in college.
No, he didn't, as a matter of fact. But, you know, right now I think that it's just a matter of time till one of these teams starts going up on top. They, as I said before, they've really been feeding each other out, and we can't really tell what an effect that wind is having on those quarterbacks' thinking either.
8:18 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. It is 2nd and 8. Bentram has the ball yanked out of his arms, but I think he was able to get it back. Vince Goldsmith got a handout as Bentram was getting set to throw, and the former Saskatchewan Roughrider was able to pull the ball away from him, and the Roughriders were fortunate that they were able to get it back at the 4-yard line.
Yeah, that's right. You find the quarterback with the ball, and you'll find Goldsmith around most of the time. He's very aggressive, stand-up defensive end.
Out of the University of Oregon, the 1981 Shenley Award winner. That forces Terry Baker back into his end zone for this 3rd down kick. So the Stampeders, with 7:52 remaining in the opening quarter, are going to get the ball in good field position. There's a penalty flag on the play and a pretty good kick. Richie Hall at the 50-yard line, and he is dumped at the 40-yard line by Dan Rashovich, the first man downfield.
Well, that was excellent tackle by Dan there, because they had that set up pretty good, and Richie Hall is one of the best at getting it back down the field.
A 9-yard run back after that 46-yard kick. Ross Perrier talking to Ken Moore. So it would appear as though the penalty call is going to go against the Calgary Stampeders. It was at the line of scrimmage on the kick.
Well, that won't give them a first down, but for sure they'll elect to kick that again, because they didn't gain a whole lot of yardage out of that.
We saw John Gregory indicating that he wanted this one kicked over again, so they are going to move the ball back and march off the offside penalty as we take another look at the movement at the line of scrimmage. I think somebody on the left side was lined up offside.
Yeah, it didn't look like they jumped. It just looked like they got in there and lined up a little bit too close to the ball.
But again, Terry Baker will be forced to kick out of the end zone. This time a much better kick by Baker. He hangs it high. Darcy Kopp is forced back to the 40-yard line, and he is stopped at the 49. So that penalty was beneficial to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, as that time a 62-yard kick came off the foot of Terry Baker.
Yeah, that 5-yard penalty was worth about 20 yards to the net, as it turned out. Good coverage again by Saskatchewan.
Still scoreless in this opening quarter at McMahon Stadium. A very important football game for both teams. Victory for Calgary could all but wipe out the playoff aspirations of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Warman is intercepted by Lynn Madsen. Gary Lewis was putting on the pressure. They were trying to set up the screen, and Jackie, that's the way a coach likes to see a defensive end play that screen.
Well, he did an excellent job, and I'll tell you, most of the time quarterbacks are not that good at tacklers, but that was a game saver there by the quarterback, because he was obviously going to run right into the end zone with that ball. Great play by the defensive end.
Madsen read screen, and he was there. But the quarterback, Rick Warman, came over to make a tackle, preventing Madsen from going all the way. Penalty flag goes down as Bentrim is being pursued to the sidelines, and he'll run it out of bounds down at the 14-yard line, but it may have all gone for naught because there was a penalty flag in that Saskatchewan backfield.
Yeah, Bentrim just running a little bootleg action to try to get some room out there and maybe spread that pocket out, that passing pocket. Calgary played it really well, and looks like they're going to draw a holding penalty. But that's one thing that Bentrim early in the year when he played impressed me with is to take a play that was going to be a broken play, a receiver not open, somebody breaking down in the blocking, and him running for big yardage. And I think he's very, very good at that.
Well, as a quarterback, you were a scrambler. You have two excellent scrambling quarterbacks in Edmonton, and Matt Dunnigan and Damon Allen. And Bentrim, I think, is most effective when he does that.
He sure is.
It's 1st and 20. The ball is back at the 41-yard line. Bentrim stays in the pocket, sidearms it out to Walter Bender, and Bender did a pretty good job of tiptoeing down the sidelines, or did he? No, they're going to rule that he was out of bounds back at the 33-yard line.
Well, that's just a little swing pass there. It looked like that's where he was going all the way, because the quarterback, Bentrim, didn't spend much time looking down the field. He just got back there, got set up, and threw it out to Bender, and was hoping on his speed, making up that yardage they lost. Calgary defended it pretty good.
Good call by the official. You saw that foot hit the white of the sidelines as Walter Bender was trying to pick up the first down.
Yeah, they don't miss near as many as the coaches think they do.
Bentrim completing the pass, and Tony Dennis will be down at about the 25-yard line. He'll be about 4 yards short of a first down, and I think we're going to see Dave Ridgway come into the ball game and attempt to break the goose egg that exists with 5:32 remaining in the opening quarter.
Well, I tell you, that was an excellent throw under the pressure he had, because Goldsmith was in there all over him again. He just got it away just in time.
Ridgway twice has etched his name into the CFL record book with the 8-in-1 game and the 60-yarder against Winnipeg. And he puts the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the board with a 32-yard field goal with 5:16 left to play in the opening quarter. But the Saskatchewan Roughriders, having played one last game than Calgary Stampeders, have a chance to move within 3 points of third place in the West with a win tonight. Now, looking at the respective schedule of the two teams over the final few weeks, the Stampeders have a home-and-home affair with Calgary coming up, and with BC coming up, and a home-and-home affair with Hamilton, while the Saskatchewan Roughriders play Hamilton, Edmonton, Toronto, Ottawa, and BC. Emmanuel Tolbert found that seam out near the midfield stripe for a key first down for the Calgary Stampeders, and Warman delivered it perfectly.
I think Warman, after getting that screen intercepted, decided that they better move the pocket around a little bit, because he was on a sprint out to his left, and Tolbert, which he's done many, many times, found a hole in that seam about 20 yards downfield, and Warman got it right there.
The initial first down of the ball game for the Calgary Stampeders. The ball at midfield. Draw play with Kirby Warren, and Warren is stopped by Lynn Madsen.
Big hole in that defensive line that time, but that quickness along that front four, it really closed up fast. He was still able to pick up 4 or 5, but that was a huge hole for a second, but did it ever close up fast?
Well, people like James Curry, Lynn Madsen, Gary Lewis, and Bobby Jurison up front aren't going to provide many opportunities for teams to run against them. As a matter of fact, I think they limited BC last week to just 10 yards. Calgary is persistent in trying that ground game. Kirby Warren again, and depending on where they swat the ball, it looks like he's going to be about a yard and a half short of a first down.
Well, you know, like a lot of people might kick the ball here, but I would almost bet you that Coach Koharic doesn't, because he has a lot of confidence in making those third down. And this is relatively short, but it is over a yard, and that really gives you some thought when it's that. Because usually you figure you can get a yard, but if it's over that, kick the ball.
Well, they're going after it. Third and just over a yard. The ball at the Saskatchewan 47. And Kirby Warren gets the first down. He fumbles the ball, and it's picked up by Mike Magruder. Magruder can't get away from Emmanuel Tolbert, who stops him at the 26-yard line.
Well, that's a huge break there for Saskatchewan because he got the first down and more. He almost broke that, and somebody just tried at the last second, stripped that ball out of his hand. That was a great defensive play. I couldn't see who stripped the ball, but it was a heck of a play. Came up just at the right time for Saskatchewan.
Lee Spivey came across to throw a very key block for the Calgary Stampeders, but then in attempting to pick up additional yardage, it bounced away from Kirby Warren, and Mike Magruder was there to make the recovery, and Emmanuel Tolbert prevented him from going anywhere. Second key turnover for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They've got it 1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Walter Bender drives out to about the 34.
Little draw play there. They tried and opened up pretty good, and Walter's a very strong runner. He gets in behind those shoulders, tough to bring down.
Well, the BC Lions are well aware of just how tough defensively these Saskatchewan Roughriders can be. They had 6 interceptions and 10 turnovers in total in that victory last Sunday.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's really something against an experienced team like the BC Lions, too.
Second and 2. Walter Bender again. He is across the 35-yard line. He'll be very close to a first down. Again, Eugene Belleville made the stop.
Well, the way they're coming off that ball, that Saskatchewan offensive line are very determined. You know, they're a little bit of a question mark in the fact of losing Elbrund with a broken arm or broken wrist, whatever it was. But Morris is filling in there real good, and they're coming off the ball just as good as they can.
Walter Bender came into the game with 293 rushing yards on 79 carries, averaging 3.7 yards per carry. Incomplete over on the sidelines. It was intended for Donald Narcisse. It will be 2nd and 10. 1:38 is the time left in this first quarter at McMahon Stadium. Saskatchewan leading by a score of 3-0.
One of the tougher throws there of them all, Ventrum rolling out to his left with the wide side of the field out there, and he threw that ball all the way across the field, running from your left. It's really tough to get that on target.
Ventrum has pretty much been given the green light by John Gregory to run the ball whenever he so chooses. That time he tried to throw. His arm was hit in the throwing motion, and there was also a penalty flag on the play.
It's Goldsmith again. He just absolutely ran around that offensive left tackle before he knew what happened.
A holding call against Laurie Stallrud. Penalty declined by the Calgary Stampeders because they are going to get the football done.
Yeah, you can watch Goldsmith just run around here all the way around the offensive tackle and get the hand right on the throwing arm right before he delivered. There's more of those quick guys anymore playing out there in that rush end. You got Sturdhill and the guy at BC, Goldsmith. There's just a lot of those guys.
Up in Edmonton, you've got a fellow who's pretty good.
You bet.
Talked about Stuart Hill. He and Jurison of Saskatchewan share the lead in quarterback sacks with 16. Richie Hall on the punt return to the 41-yard line. That's where Calgary will scrimmage, and we'll go down now to Scott O.
Don, it was reported this week that Bob Vespasiani, the former Stampeders head coach, was working on a volunteer basis as an assistant with the BC Lions. This is Jim Cilia, the chairman of the board of the Stampeders. Jim, Vespasiani would require your permission to do that. Did he get it?
No, he didn't yet. He didn't ask for our verbal or written approval, and we've informed the BC Lions Club of this fact.
So the relationship between Vespasiani and the Lions is over then?
I talked to Joe Galat on the phone yesterday, and he indicated to me that he would inform Bob of the fact that we said that we didn't give him permission, and from there we'll see what happens.
I'm sure you'd agree the principle of paying a guy to coach against you doesn't even work in this league.
Well, it doesn't make much sense. I mean, the man was our head coach. I mean, he knows our offense, our defense. We don't know what information he's given, and I just don't believe that the logic in that makes any sense at all. And for the Lions to even take him in without checking with us, you know.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Don?
Okay, Scott, and on the sidelines, it is John Gregory conferring with his quarterback, Jeff Bentram, while the other rookie signal caller, Rick Warman, faces a 2nd and 8 play. McVeigh picked up just a couple of yards before being stopped by Eddie Lowe. That was the first carry of the game for Andy McVeigh. Warman is intercepted on the sidelines. Mike Magruder Magruder was victimized by the Stampeders for the winning touchdown in the season opener, and he is certainly redeeming himself tonight with a fumble recovery and an interception. And that's the final play. Magruder, a product of a free agent camp, comes up with an interception, the third turnover of the ball game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And to start the second quarter, they're 1st and 10 at the 50-yard line. The draw play with Walter Bender. He found his initial path blocked, takes it to the outside, and picks up about 6 yards before being forced out of bounds by Chris Major.
Well, you know, there's a case of just turning about a 5-yard loss into a 5-yard gain with this great ability, because there was nowhere for him to run where the play was designated to go.
Neither team was able really to put much together offensively in that first quarter, and that turnover statistic, 3 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 1 for Calgary, could be very telling in the final outcome of this ball game. Long throw, it's incomplete. Intended for McDonald.
Yeah, excellent coverage by Major out there at that left corner. He was with him all the way, and good defensive play by the receiver to keep that from being an interception.
Major defending.
You know, when you look back in that interception by Magruder, was that a case of Warman not reading the coverage?
Well, I think what happens there, they were doing a rollout to the left, and it's the same thing we talked about before about the inexperience. They've got the ability, but it takes experience. He didn't realize that they were rolling up the coverage. In other words, it was a zone. That quarterback's going to drop off the deep man, and he was just right there in perfect position, and nobody had a chance but him to get the football.
Terry Baker's third down punt is taken by Darcy Kopp, and he is stopped at the 15-yard line by Mark Ernest. That was a 44-yard kick and a 5-yard return by Kopp.
You know, they throw so many different defensive coverages at these quarterbacks these days. It's, you know, it's a wonder they don't go nuts trying to figure them all out, because you basically have to read most of the coverages after the ball is snapped. Every once in a while you'll get a key and you'll know that they're going to be in a certain defense, or you'll think they're going to be in a defense because of the place on the field. But they can be in so many coverages, very difficult for the quarterback.
Well, Rick Warman started the season as the #1 quarterback for Calgary. Then Rick Johnson took over, but with the injury to Johnson, Warman again is #1, and he gets the pass away, complete to Christensen for a gain of maybe 10 yards.
Well, of course, that's the kind of time that you like to see your quarterback have. He got back there that time and just stood around and finally picked out a receiver, because you can't cover him if you get that good of protection. And that's very difficult to do against that front four of Saskatchewan's. As a matter of fact, they brought 5 people that time.
They spot the ball just shy of the 26-yard line. It will be 2nd and less than 1. And Kirby Warren gets the first down as he reaches out for the 30-yard line.
A lot of times, you know, you think, well, why short yardage like that when you run a play where you hand the ball so deep in the backfield to a running back, because he certainly has a chance to get caught back there and not pick up the first down. But a play like that, you run it because a lot of times it's the type of play that you can break for a big gainer, and most of the time you do get the first down too.
1st and 10 Calgary. Tolbert reaches out and hauls it in at the 51-yard line.
Well, of course, he's been making a living catching that ball going over the middle for a long time, but he was in a precarious position when he reached out to catch that ball, and he figured he was going to really get hit, but he kept his mind right on the football and made a nice catch.
A gain of 21 yards, and something Kaharick said as we look at it from reverse angle is that to be successful tonight, the Stampeders had to get the ball to Willis and Tolbert, and they got it to him on this play.
As you can see there, the safety man was in real good position to deliver a hit on Tolbert.
Warman throwing over the middle, and Bobby Jurison was pressuring the Calgary quarterback. Jurison, number 71, just now getting to his feet.
Jurison trying to regain that sack lead.
Fighting off the block at Kerry Elirenko. James Curry also came in with a hit on Warman. Jurison with 16 sacks, the same as Stuart Hill of the Edmonton Eskimos. Hill getting one last night in that win over the Ottawa Roughriders. One of the outstanding new additions to the roster of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Bobby Jurison. He has the quickness that you look for in the defensive end. He's trying to get there again, but the pass is complete. as Warman had the time to deliver that strike.
Sure did.
Jay Christensen is there.
He sure did have the time. You know, they were in a halfback blitz trying to get to Warman, and it was picked up just beautiful, just like you draw it up on the board. So weak halfback blitz. You see that halfback coming, number 24. There he is. That's McVeigh, the guy that hasn't been starting, just going over and doing an excellent job picking up the blitz.
One thing McVeigh does do is block extremely well. The Stampeders are very pleased with the way he has handled that particular chore. The first down pass. Warman can't find anybody, and he is brought down by Gary Lewis.
Well, that was just excellent coverage downfield there. He had lots of time to throw, but everyone was covered up.
Warman looking over to the sidelines for some help in his play selection. Gary Lewis in his second start. He and James Curry inside with Bobby Jurison and Lynn Madsen on the outside. When Kuharich took over from Bob Vespasiani, he became the 22nd coach in the history of the Calgary Stampeders.
It's a whole lot of coaches in there.
Warman's in trouble again, but this time he's going to run it and get the first down.
Well, you know, Coach Kuharich was alluding to that this morning when we talked to him, that Warman certainly wasn't the runner that some of the quarterbacks in the league are, but that he had a really good knack for getting back there and being able to pick up the 7 and 8 yards that you need for the first down when he couldn't find a receiver and was getting a little pressure. And it certainly shows here that he can't find anybody open. A little pressure there. He sees where he can make the first down, goes up and gets about all of it he can out of that one.
Something else Kuharich said is that Warman moves the pocket well and keeps drives alive. He's trying to keep this one alive. The pass is incomplete. Steve Crane had dropped back, and there was a penalty flag, a holding call against Calgary.
Yeah, he really got pressure there. He stood in there real good, though, you know, and delivered that ball, but he had not much chance of completing it, because I think just about the time he let the ball go, he was met with a couple of Saskatchewan players.
The loss that was inflicted upon the Stampeders, rather humiliating for Larry Kuharich by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He said, we were outplayed, outcoached, out everything in that game.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy about that game. Of course, you know, Winnipeg, when they get it rolling, they've got so much talent, they can put a lot of points on the board.
First and 20 as a result of that holding call. The ball comes back to the 36-yard line. They come up the middle with Lewis. Curry in pursuit. In the end zone, Christensen makes the catch. He's out of bounds.
Well, there was another example there of Warman, because he had no chance to get the ball off. It was just a rush right up the middle right now, and I don't really know how he got out of that. And then he got out to the sideline and was able to find the guy wide open in the end zone and just couldn't quite keep it in bounds. He avoided another big loss there. Oh, yeah,
Christensen was in behind Harry Skipper.
Well, broken play like that, you know, that's what you work on, getting those receivers. When they see their quarterback in trouble, they change their pass routes. They come back to the ball. They run away from the guy that's covering. It's difficult for a defensive back, too, when the quarterback's scrambling around like that.
Saskatchewan leading by a score of 3-0 with 8:49 remaining in this second quarter. Second and 20. Warman has Larry Willis open, and he'll get the first down as he gets inside the 15, stopped by Steve Crane.
That big play there by Warman and Willis. They just, you know, to get that many yards when you need them, you second down and 20, you just figure, well, if we can get 10, we'll get closer for a field goal. But they went down there and went for it all, and they caught Saskatchewan in a deep zone, and the linebackers weren't able to get back that far, so he was wide open.
A gain of 27 on that pass to Larry Willis. It's 1st and 10 for Calgary. They are at the 14-yard line. Larry Willis has a bit of a streak of his own alive in this ball game with that reception. Eddie Lowe comes in to make the tackle on Kirby Warren. He may have got a yard, certainly not much more.
Oh, Eddie Lowe, I tell you, what a ball player. He's not very big as linebackers go, but he can play all three spots back there. Left outside, right outside, inside, and he does all the time. They move him around all the time, and he's just an excellent football player. Makes big play after big play in the football game.
Well, earlier in the year, he was playing on the right side. They have moved him over to the left side. Dave Albright is in the middle, and Steve Crane is on the right side in that linebacking alignment. On second down, Warman looking into the end zone, and it's over the head of Kirby Warren.
Yeah, get a linebacker coverage on that back, and he got wide open.
We've got a third down coming up for Calgary when we return.
He's Charity Bear at all Stampeders.
Yeah, you know, here's the replay on that Warren getting wide open in the end zone. And what happens down here, you're pretty sure you're going to get a linebacker covering on a back coming out of the backfield. And that's just what they got. Both linebackers trying to get back there with Warren, but they just couldn't keep up with him. Just a little bit overthrown.
21-yard field goal by J.T. Hay ties the game at 3 with 7:09 remaining in the second quarter here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Roughriders at the 35-yard line. The score tied at 3. Draw play, and Walter Bender will be stopped after a gain of 2. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders will be kicking with Harold Hallman making the stop on Walter Bender.
Usually when you get a second 10 play call, a draw play like that, you've got some information from the press boxes, the coaches up there, that they've seen something where it's wide open on second and long. And so at that time, obviously, Calgary must change their defense up a little bit because there was no running room at all.
Terry Baker standing at his own 22-yard line. Darrell Hall fumbled the football and went right into the arms of Darcy Cobb. And what could have been another turnover results in a pretty good run back by Darcy Cobb, and he should smile as he picks up 9 yards after that 34-yard kick. Hall fumbled the ball and went right into Cobb's arms while he was in full flight.
Well, you know, that worked so smooth, it looked like they've been working on that. Here it is again. And there's Darcy just at the right spot. And there we go. It looked like it was almost a lateral.
Darrell Hall, or Richie Hall will probably be saying it was a lateral.
Yeah, sure. We'll give Richie the benefit of a doubt on that.
First and 10, Calgary. They are at their own 53-yard line. 5:49 remaining in the first half. Penalty flag as Warman tries to run away from that pressure, and he is caught from behind by Lynn Madsen. But it's a holding call.
Trying to get away there, but even if he had, I think it would have been coming back, because it looked like that a couple of guys got drugged down pretty good by the Calgary offensive line. They've been getting some good pressure, and you know, the offensive linemen, they don't like to have those defensive linemen beat them, so every once in a while, if they get 3, they're going to grab a hold of them.
They ruled that Tom Spolatini was guilty of the holding infraction. And that takes the ball back to the 42.5. It will be 1st and 20 now with 5:36 left to play in the half. 3-3 the score here at McMahon Stadium.
I wonder if they'll come back with that play to Willis again. No, little running play, little trap play, big hole.
Draw play with McVeigh, and he gets about 10 yards back. Eddie Lowe made the tackle.
Eddie Lowe made the tackle.
Big, strong runner. He's going to be a standout in the league, I think, especially in the fact that he can block so well. He can block those defensive ends on certain pass protections, and that's a big plus for a back.
Well, he has good size, 6'1", 210 pounds, out of the University of Toronto. Coach Beharick said he can run, and he has good hands.
Well, he's the guy that Frank Morris said we should take if we didn't take Marshall.
On the sidelines, Larry Willis makes the catch for another first down at the 41-yard line.
Well, that was just an excellent throw and catch, and when they're able to do it that way, the defensive back really has no chance, because he didn't even have a full yard where he caught that ball, and it was a fine throw by Warman. There he is. See, that's really a fine throw. See, no way to defend against that.
Willis doing a good job of concentrating on those sidelines to keep that foot in bounds.
Those wide receivers work on that continually.
Good fake. Pass over the middle for another first down.
That was a good fake.
Tolbert, the receiver.
That was a good fake. As a matter of fact, the guy ran through there, thought he had the ball. Good hole in there, but good throw to Tolbert. maybe one of the best coming over the middle and catching the football. It takes a certain type of guy to do that. Marco Sincar, Rick House, and Tom Richards do it about as well as anybody I've ever seen, and this guy's certainly right up there with him.
Well, you're talking about 3 fine Canadian slot backs who perform with the Edmonton Eskimos. Emmanuel Tolbert giving the Calgary Stampeders a first down at the 21-yard line. Warman into the end zone, and it's a touchdown for Kirby Warren.
Sure, they saw that before, didn't they? This time he didn't lay it up in the air, though. He really fired it right at him. So it was a little different coverage that time. There was somebody in the end zone deeper, but he just threw it right at him. Great throw and great catch. Good call. I bet you that came from the press box. Those guys up there, they wanted to run that again. Here we are, good protection. Give him a good look downfield. Got a good lane to throw in there, and he just throws it right at him. Good job. See, there was someone deeper in the end zone.
That's the capper to a 53-yard drive. The strike from Warman to Kirby Warren. And now the point after by J.T. Haig. And the Calgary Stampeders have the lead for the first time in the game. 3:45 remaining in the half. So back at the Calgary kickoff after this. Is that he didn't have great hands, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders might refute that claim.
Yeah, well, that's right. He's not supposed to have as good a hands as Allen, but this is a good catch here. Good throw. Good concentration. You can see that linebacker chased him. He just gets it in there behind the linebacker and in front of that defensive back.
Joe Fuller on the kickoff return for Saskatchewan. There's a penalty flag. And it will probably wipe out a pretty good run back by Joe Fuller as he worked out to the 45-yard line, a 29-yard return. But it looks as though an illegal block will be charged against Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
illegal block, Saskatchewan number 22. First off.
Yeah, that's something Saskatchewan didn't need right now because they really do need to get something going with their offense. They've been like going in there and running a couple plays and have to kick the ball back to Calgary. And Calgary's kind of settling down on offense. Warman looks like he's getting a lot of confidence back. So right now is a pretty key time in the game for Saskatchewan to get something going offensively.
Well, John Gregory indicated that if Jeff Bentram was having difficulty moving the team, he wouldn't hesitate to throw Jeff Tedford into the ball game. Bentram's pass incomplete, intended for Ray McDonald. Larry Hogue was defending against the Saskatchewan wide receiver. 3:17 remains in the half. 10-3 the score. Calgary leading Saskatchewan.
That's Stu Laird getting in there, putting a little pressure on Bentram, and he just couldn't wait to hold the ball any longer to maybe get a receiver a little more open.
2nd and 10 Saskatchewan. The ball is at the 21-yard line. Ray Algard makes the catch up at the 30-yard line, depending on where they spot it. I think he's going to be short of a first down. 2:58 is the time remaining in the half.
Calgary native Ken Reed and CBC's expert commentator in downhill skiing is at tonight's game. Ken, to change topics from football for a second, I'm sure you're looking forward to the downhill season and the Olympics shortly thereafter.
Very much so. Actually, we've got an exciting year coming up. I'll be working with Brian Williams again, and we've got Lisa Savajarvi working our women's side, so we're going to have a good season on downhill. And I think with the Olympics coming and our coverage with CBC, we've got an hour highlight package every night, and it'll be really good.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Don?
Yes, we look forward to all the activity connected with the Winter Olympics, including the opening and closing ceremonies right here at McMahon Stadium. 3rd down gamble by Saskatchewan. Jeff Bentram keeps, and he should have the first down. There's the signal from referee Ross Berrier.
Well, that's the safest you can do. Anytime you hand that ball off to a running back in that situation where you've got less than a yard to go, he can certainly get hit in the backfield and might not make it.
And of course, Bentram has that good size, 6 feet, 205 pounds. He did a lot of running with the football at North Dakota State. 1st and 10 Saskatchewan from the 32-yard line. Bentram is being chased out of there by Harold Hallman, and he'll be caught by Vince Goldsmith over on the far side of the field and taken out of bounds.
Actually, the play looked a little bit funny. It looked like there was a mix-up in the signals because Bentram took the ball and rolled out to the right, but they really weren't blocking a rollout situation. It almost looked like that either he went the wrong way or maybe his backs did, because they really had nobody to block for him outside, and he was definitely rolling out right.
2nd and 11, Saskatchewan.
A loss of a yard. It will be 2nd and 11 for the Roughriders from the 31-yard line. 2:26 remaining in the half. 10-3 is the score. Calgary leading Saskatchewan. Bentram dropping straight back, and did he make the catch? Donald Narcisse says yes. The official says yes. The Calgary players say no. The officials have the final call.
He sure had the last word, and that time, you know, that was great drill for Bentram because, again, Goldsmith was putting a lot of pressure on him.
Jeff Tetford, who was with the Calgary Stampeders through training camp, warming up at that Saskatchewan bench. The only action he has seen this year, a couple of weeks ago, against the Edmonton Eskimos. He came into the game late in a Saskatchewan loss in Edmonton. They were trying to throw that hitch screen, but the ball bounced in front of Ray McDonald. It will be 2nd and 10.
Well, it looked like they had that defended pretty good anyway. There was certainly some red shirts out there, but ball thrown a little low. Receiver couldn't handle it.
Tuesday, October 20th at the Calgary Convention Center.
Here it is here, just a quick screen. Bentram throwing it out to the wide receiver. As you see, it's just the bounce before it got there, so incomplete. But there were some red shirts coming up.
2nd and 10 from the 45-yard line. Bentram again dropping straight back. Incomplete, intended for Tony Dennis.
Yeah, I bet Tony would like to have another shot at that one, because that was really a good throw, and he ran a really good cut to get open, a good throw, and he just couldn't hang on to it.
3rd and 10.
John Gregory sends out the punt unit with 1:55 remaining. Gregory was extremely pleased with the way his club performed last week against the BC Lions. He was anticipating more of the same against the Calgary Stampeders in this very important ball game. 3rd down punt by Baker. Darcy Kopp takes it at the 18-yard line, and he is stopped as he drives out to the 28 by Dave Albright. Once again, let's bring in Scott O.
Don, the hottest piece of off-the-field news in the CFL this week was and remains the salary of CFL Commissioner Doug Mitchell. We'll talk about that at halftime and inside the CFL. And Robert Scott of CBC Sports will report on a new feeling in the camp of the Stampeders. Robert, it must be greatly different than it was about a month ago.
No, sure, no question about it, Scotty. There's a new feeling, as you mentioned, a much more positive feeling. And this is a team that's won 5 of its last 6 games, so they're on a roll. We'll hear from their new head coach, Larry Kaharick, who's really been the catalyst behind their revival at halftime.
All right, Robert, we look forward to it on Inside the CFL. Don?
Scott, we do look forward to it. The score of 10-3, Calgary leading Saskatchewan. An injured Calgary player. And I think it might be Darcy Kopp. Larry Kuharek, an assistant previous to know it's Richie Hall, the partner to Darcy Kopp on that punt return squad, but with Pat Clayton assisting him to the sidelines.
Yeah, Richie
he appears to be okay.
Blocking. Yeah, he's okay. Richie was up there helping a little bit, blocking, got knocked around a little bit.
1st and 10 Calgary. They are at the 28-yard line. Warman got away from Albright. The pass is complete to Kirby Warren, and he gets another 1st down. Albright was blitzing from his linebacking position and forced Warman out of there, but he got the pass away. Following the game, we will be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a Canadian public company providing leadership in the world of high technology and capital equipment leasing. Canada Lease makes your money work better for you.
You know, that's that type of thing really drives your defensive coach as well, because they had a perfect defense. They got their linebacker through absolutely free, but Warman showing that good ability, scrambled outside, made a big play out of it.
1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. He can't scramble away this time. James Curry came in to make the tackle.
Leading the Saskatchewan tacklers. Warman sank back at the 35.
Bobby Jurison was coming from the other side, and the two of them met where coaches like to see them meet at the quarterback.
That's right. That's right. Those are the kind of plays. Here it is back again. They usually award half a sacks on these things. I don't know. I guess Jurison did get there first.
2nd down, 17.
Second and 16 from the 36-yard line with 1:22 remaining. First half with Calgary in front, 10-3. Good sideline pattern, and Larry Willis makes another fine catch in front of Harry Skipper.
Well, that's good throw by Warman, throwing that ball way out there on that comeback route by the receiver. But unfortunately for Calgary, he didn't get enough to get the first down, so it looks like Calgary will have to punt it away.
12, Harry Skipper.
There it is there. See, that's a long throw out there. He had it right on the money.
Talked about the long throw, and many rookie quarterbacks out of U.S. college football come into Canada. The width of the field when they try to throw those out certainly surprises them, doesn't it?
Well, that's right. And you get a lot of sore arms when you're up there for the first time, just trying to force it out there.
Tony Dennis let the ball bounce in front of him, and it bounces all the way into the end zone. And Dennis is going to draw a no yards penalty.
70 yards on the boot by Harper. Flags down in the end zone.
Chris Major was the man who had encroached upon that 5-yard area, a 71-yard kick by Glenn Harper. But the question is, did the ball touch Tony Dennis as it bounced in front of him?
Well, I guess that's what they're discussing down there right now. If it did touch him, why it wouldn't be no yard.
Calgary number 20.
Well, apparently the ball did not touch Tony Dennis.
No yards charged against these.
Let's take another look at it.
Here it is. Looks like it just hits the ground. No, it didn't touch him. That hard surface, that ball just squirted past him, rolled on down there for a big kick for Calgary. So they'll get it on the 15-yard line.
First and 10, Saskatchewan. 53 seconds remaining in the half. Bantram is caught by
That's Jeff Tedford.
Stu Laird in there on Jeff Tedford.
Down by Stu Laird in the backfield.
Yeah, that's real quick pressure. When you're running that rollout situation, here he goes, rolling out to his left. You got to have a little bit better protection than this to get the ball away. He just beats a blocker and he's right in there. Stu Laird.
Laird, Belleville, Hallman, and Goldsmith up front for the Calgary Stampeders, and the first series of the ball game for Jeff Tedford. 49 seconds remaining on the clock. It's interesting that Tedford and Warman were teammates at Fresno State. As a matter of fact, at Fresno State, Warman was Tedford's backup. Tedford now into the ball game, replacing Jeff Bentram for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Of course, Warman transferred out of that school and went on up to school up in Washington, I believe it was. Was able to set a few records there and had a fine college career.
Tedford initially into the CFL with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He went through training camp with the Calgary Stampeders this year. Really didn't get an opportunity to play. Second and 18, a draw play. And Walter Bender got to the 10-yard line.
Well, this is certainly a real important 45 seconds for Saskatchewan, because if they could manage to keep Calgary out of the end zone and maybe hopefully only give up 3 points, so they'd certainly still be well in the football game. They would be even if Calgary got a touchdown, but I don't think they'd be feeling too good about it at halftime.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders stopped the clock after the first down play by the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and they anticipated perhaps getting the ball back in pretty good field position, and indeed they will. Third down kick by Baker goes out of bounds, and they spot it at the 47-yard line. So with 23 seconds remaining, the Stampeders, if they can't put it into the end zone, should certainly be able to move it within field goal range for J.T. Hay.
Yeah, it wasn't a very pretty looking kick, but it certainly worked out well because it did bounce out of bounds up about the 50 and no chance for a return. So that was really a pretty good kick for him.
Warman with the team immediately up over the ball. Incomplete. It was intended for McVeigh. It will be second and 10.
Of course, McVeigh has had a lot of
now on the far side of the
yeah,
field.
a little scrap over there on the other side of the field. It's those wide receivers and those cornerbacks, you know, they're really tough. They really get after each other. So
Warman looking over. Most of the players went running over there to see what was taking place. There were penalty flags thrown. And Ross Perrier now talking to the other officials to determine exactly what happened with just 18 seconds remaining.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan number 42.
That's a tough penalty to Saskatchewan right now because that puts them down certainly well within field goal range and gives them another chance to get it in the end zone. This is a pass out to McVeigh here, and he hasn't played that much. That's a pretty wobbly looking thing anyway. I think somebody tipped it and McVeigh couldn't handle it. We still didn't get a chance to see what might have happened over there with Eddie Lowe.
The altercation taking place way over on the other side of the field, but a costly penalty against the Saskatchewan Roughriders as Warman comes up with the completion to Emmanuel Tolbert. And there are still 13 seconds remaining, and Warman in that hurry-up offense.
He had lots of time then, not much pressure. Offensive line of Calgary's doing an awfully good job there because he had all day.
Warman looking to put that ball into the end zone. The clock is running. Warman throwing deep, touchdown. Larry Willis in the end zone with the reception and the touchdown with just 6 seconds remaining.
What did he ever fire that thing? That was just like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, that one. Good reception by Willis.
Well, a good move on the part of the Calgary coaching staff, calling that timeout after the first down play where Jeff Tedford was sacked, and then they were able to get the ball back in good field position, and with the help of a penalty, they were able to put it into the end zone, and J.T. Hay adds the point after.
Conversion attempt is good. Again, the touchdown to Warman, 16 yards for Larry Willis.
Here's Warman going back on the play to Willis. And you just see he gets good protection, but he just rifles that thing in there. And Willis catches it with people around him. People getting ready to hit him. That's good concentration. Here you see him going. He'll go down and take a little out and run a little post curl in there, and he's right in front, and there comes the football. Yeah, good catch.
Got Rod Fisher moving the wrong way, and Warman delivered the ball perfectly for Willis, and that makes it 17-3 with 6 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, one thing Saskatchewan have done all year, and I've watched them almost every game they've played. They've played hard all throughout every football game. Didn't matter what happened during the game, and I don't expect this to be any different. I think second half they'll come out fired up and get after Calgary again.
Well, in that game they played back on the 21st of June, it was Saskatchewan that jumped into a big lead early and then saw the Calgary Stampeders come back. Just the reverse here at McMahon Stadium, 17-3. Calgary now leading. Joe Fuller takes that bouncing ball on the kickoff return, and he is stopped at the 37-yard line with 2 seconds. Time for one play for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, an 18-yard run back after a 56-yard kickoff.
A pretty good little hole in there, but Darcy Kopp went over and made a good play to make that tackle.
Jeff Tedford comes out. There will be a slight delay. An injured Calgary player. It appears to be Chris Major who is down. Well, Larry Willis scored the touchdown on a perfect strike from Rick Warman. And let's take another look at that Willis touchdown from the end zone.
Warman getting back there real good now, and good pass protection. They give him a little throwing lane, and he just zips it through there. That's what's always important with your passing attack, you know, is to have a lane to throw to. Ronnie can tell you a lot about that because he had to have a lane for sure. All the quarterbacks do. Doesn't matter if they're 6'6". They still need a lane to throw to.
Chris Major limping off. He just got caught up in traffic.
There he is. His own man hits him. His own man hits him. Looked like he hit him on the ankle or knee, but they could ill afford to lose him.
So Darcy Kopp moves in at a defensive back position, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders quite content to run the final 2 seconds off the clock in the first half here at McMahon Stadium. And the Calgary Stampeders go to the dressing room leading by 14.
Calgary Stampeders 17.
It during a game, it's there in practice. The rapport Kaharick has with his players.
And tomorrow we start to secure the playoff berth. Saturday night, men, you can have it all wrapped up. Okay, good day.
He demands a lot, but he gives a lot back. He's honest, he's loyal. The players appreciate that.
I think that he instills honesty with us, and if you're up front and straight with him, that he'll be up front and straight with you.
You know, you want to go out and perform for the guy. He's that kind of a coach. You want to go out and make things happen. And when I run on the sideline after a sack, he's the first guy to meet me and say, "Great job." You know, I've never seen a head coach do that. You know, he's worried about the next play, but Coach Kaharick makes it a deal to come congratulate each and every player.
Kaharick was weaned on football.
Come on, let's go. Let's gear it up, Foley. Hike the ball, cover.
His dad, Joe Kaharick, was head coach of Notre Dame University and the Philadelphia Eagles. Pretty impressive roots. Maybe that's why Kaharick has such strong feelings about his peers in the coaching profession.
Coaching's overplayed. Personally, 90% of the coaches I have no regard for. 10% of them good, sound men. When I was a player, I saw some coaches and how they con people. And when I went into the coaching profession and had some rough times in the profession, whatever always kept me going was the fact that says, Larry, if you quit, it makes room for one more coach like the enemy.
Who's the enemy?
The 90% of guys that they're imposters.
Judging by the response of his players, Kaharick is no imposter. He's the real thing. It's on the offensive line where the respect is perhaps most evident, where the Stamps have improved the most. Since Kaharick took over, it has provided much better pass protection. Protect the quarterback in this league and you win. The Stamps are doing just that. Players on the line are more emotional. Veteran center Bob Foley came to the defense of a teammate 3 weeks ago against Ottawa. It's this kind of aggressive attitude that was missing before Kaharick.
You know, basically we just said that's enough's enough and no more. We're not taking any more crap.
It's the revival of the offensive line that's made all the pieces fall into place. The Stamps are getting the ball more, keeping it longer, and scoring more points. And the defense is spending less time on the field. 2 months ago, the Stamps were a desperate team. They made a desperation move, firing the general manager, head coach, and personnel director, installing Kaharick as the new head coach and director of football operations. At the time, some people questioned the move. But when you look back, it was the right medicine this team required. Kaharick has brought a fresh approach and a new enthusiasm. He has been central to the club's revival.
So the Calgary Stampeders are in front of Saskatchewan by 14 points at the half in this game at McMahon Stadium. The CFL on CBC returns in just a moment.
Jeff Tedford coming into the ball game late in the second half for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it appears as though Tedford is going to continue in the second half as a replacement for Jeff Bentram, who started the game. He has a 14-point deficit to make up, and he is certainly capable. He can throw the ball. He hasn't had all that much opportunity to play in the Canadian Football League, but John Gregory is holding true to his word. He indicated that if Bentram had some problems, he would not hesitate in inserting Tedford into the ball game, and he did that and will likely continue with that. Larry Kaharick with an infectious type of enthusiasm that has certainly helped this Calgary Stampeder football team. Watching his team lead by 14 and watching Ron Hopkins on the kickoff return get it out to the 41-yard line. A run back of 11 yards. Mark Ness downfield to make the tackle.
Well, you're right about Tedford. Although he's been with a couple of teams in the CFL, he really hasn't ever had much of a chance to establish himself as a quarterback. But he's got his work cut out this second half, because in that first half, Saskatchewan just couldn't get anything very consistent going offensively. Too much Calgary defense.
Despite the fact that they had 3 key turnovers, the Roughriders were only able to get a field goal.
Chase him down, Bobby.
Kirby Warren is getting a lot of work tonight, both as a running back and as a pass receiver, and he'll get a gain of 4 yards before being stopped by Gary Lewis. Now, we said at the start of the telecast that the Calgary Stampeders, as a team, have had the most success this year in the CFL in running the football, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been the toughest team to run against. But the Calgary Stampeders continue with that ground game.
Well, in this period, it looks like Calgary has the wind advantage, although it's still swirling pretty good. So I imagine you'll see the ball there, although they're running again, and it's a big hole.
McVeigh out to the 49 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They said he has good vision, and he used his eyes well there to make a couple of moves coming through that line and find that open spot for a gain of 16.
Yeah, I was surprised when Coach Kaharick talked about the fact that he thought he was an excellent runner. I thought the guy was a very powerful guy when we played against him and blocked really well. But you can see there, he knows how to run with football.
First down at the Saskatchewan 49-yard line. McVeigh is tripped up as he came through that line of scrimmage. Steve Crane was the man who managed to pull the feet up from under McVeigh. He has a gain of about 3 yards, make it 2nd and 7.
Well, you know, there's nothing much more discouraging when a team is leading you like that and they can come out and make a first down or two running the football, and that's obviously looks like what Calgary's going to do. I think they may be going into their tight end formation here. No, they're not.
Particularly when they're making yards against what supposedly is the strength of your defense.
That's right.
Warman to Marshall Toner. Toner got to the 40-yard line. He had to get to the 39-yard line for a first down. But on 3rd and 1, I wouldn't be surprised if the Calgary Stampeders go for it.
J.T. Hayes started out there. He came back. He started again, and he's coming back again. So it looks like the big guys for Calgary are going in on short yardage offense, and don't know whether they'll run it or not, but all those big guys are in there.
I think the quarterback always likes it when the coach has the confidence in him and says, go after it. Kirby Warren hit right at the line of scrimmage, and there are penalty flags on the play. Lynn Madsen is the man who made the contact with Kirby Warren.
Well, they closed that up just about as quick as they could, but it looks like from where the mark is, it's going to be right on the box.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 38. First down.
Well, with Steve Crane offside, the effort of the people inside is in vain because the Calgary Stampeders will get a first down with the ball being moved to the 35-yard line.
Here it is right here. You can see there's a pretty good charge off that ball. Offensive lineman driving back, but some good fill in there by the backs and linebackers. So it was going to be a very close measure.
12-14 remaining in the third quarter. 17-3. The Stampeders leading Saskatchewan. Calgary with the football, and Warman is looking for more. Willis in the end zone, the target. He was being covered by Harry Skipper.
Well, they got some pressure on Warman just at the right time because it looked like the receiver was open, but the pressure caused the ball to be thrown over the wrong shoulder, and he had no chance to catch it.
Gary Lewis was pressuring quarterback Rick Warman, along with Dave Albright, the linebacker. It will be 2nd and 10, just outside the 36-yard line. Coming into the game, the Roughriders with a record of 3-8-1 for 7 points. Calgary 6-7-0 for 12 points. The screen.
And it's wide open.
Kirby Warren gets the first down inside the 25.
Well, that was an excellent call because they had the big blitz on. Saskatchewan's defense did, and just went back there, and Warman read it perfectly, laid the ball out there. Quick first down. Here it is. Good blocking downfield. Trying to make a block and open it up a little bit. Good play.
11-14 remaining in the third quarter. 1st and 10. The ball just inside the Saskatchewan 25-yard line.
Halfback blitz again.
Kirby Warren broke off a couple of tackles and then was hauled down by Eddie Lowe.
Yeah, you got a strong half blitz that time, Don, and it was actually a perfect time to do it because they ran right into the hole where the defensive end comes inside to where he can take the blocker, and that halfback shouldn't have anybody on him. And really, it was a perfect defense against the play call.
By the way, don't wait. Do it today.
2nd and 8, Calgary. Warman sends 2 receivers wide to the left. Looks over that way, looked over to the right, goes to the right for Warren, incomplete. Rod Fisher was defending against Warren in the end zone.
Again, Warman playing with a lot of confidence. You know, he stood in there really well and then moved up in the pocket and got by a little bit of action and almost completed that for a touchdown. Good defensive play down the end zone.
Had Warren been able to maintain his balance, he might have been able to make the catch. Rod Fisher was back defending against Warren. And it will be 3rd and 8, and the field goal attempt by J.T. Hay from 29 yards out. Kick is good. And the Calgary Stampeders, with 9:59 remaining in the 3rd quarter, now have a lead of 20-3 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Hit that guy, then you got to call back to that guy. Then you
the thing about it is I saw his feet pitch. I saw him in a pitch, son. I should have just said
you just get the Hey, hold on a second, too. Now, the other thing on that short yardage play, the Mac made...
Ron Smeltzer, the offensive line coach, doing some work over at that Calgary bench as Jeff Tedford gets his first offensive series of the 3rd quarter underway. Looking down the sidelines for Donald Narcisse. It's incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 35.
Yeah, just trying to open it up a little bit because those defensive backs are really crowding those receivers. So he tried to get a little out and up pattern, maybe hit a big gainer. And good defensive play.
2nd and 10. The Roughriders really haven't been able to get much going offensively in the football game. Jeff Tedford will attempt to remedy that situation. There's a very unusual completion off the hands of the intended receiver, bouncing off the middle linebacker Bernie Morrison and right back to Walter Bender for a completion.
Yeah, that was thrown in there pretty good by Tedford to Walter Bender. And as you can see here on this replay, hopefully it's thrown in there pretty good. He can't handle it. It bounces right through his hands, right into the linebacker's hands, right back to Walter Bender.
And then the linebacker, Bernie Morrison, makes the tackle.
It's pretty hard to do. Had to work a lot in practice to get that done.
A gain of 6, so as a result, Saskatchewan is forced to punt. Baker's kick taken by Richie Hall, and he spins his way out to the 50-yard line. And there is also a penalty flag as Ray Elgard was in there to make the tackle on Richie Hall. A 30-yard kick and an 11-yard run back.
30-yard kick by Baker. Richie Hall,
major foul.
The penalty against David Conrad for piling on. Right now, let's bring in Scott Oak.
Don, the CFL's Defensive Star of the Week last week, Chris Major with 2 interceptions is on the bench right now, nursing a slightly sprained ankle he suffered in the dying seconds of the first half. The pain will have to subside a whole lot if he is to go back into this game tonight.
Well, that means that Darcy Kopp will continue to operate in that Calgary secondary as Chris Major's replacement. 1st and 10 Calgary at the 45-yard line. Willis is open. He's got another first down. He is going to be thrown back. He loses the football, but I think they're going to rule that the whistle had gone.
Yeah, he worked himself wide open out there. And as I say, Warman seems to be just getting more and more confidence all the time because he just whipped it right in there for about a 9-yard gain. Depends on where they mark it.
Willis with that touchdown late in the first half, giving Calgary the 17-3 advantage at the break.
Well, they're certainly showing a lot of respect for his speed, especially on that last pass cut, because there wasn't anybody within 10 yards of him on that hook pattern.
Willis had a gain of 9 on that one, and now going after the first down is Kirby Warren. He's hit by Eddie Lowe, but not before he had picked up what appears to be the first down.
Eddie Lowe with that great range of his, getting over and making that tackle. Good open field tackle.
And it is a Calgary first down at the 34-yard line as we take another look at the play of Eddie Lowe.
There's Eddie, coming over real quick. Oh, that looks like the same way you teach it in practice. Get that head across in front and drive those legs.
Formation has two receivers wide to the left. Willis in the end zone. Incomplete. Harry Skipper was back defending against Larry Willis.
Harry's knocked a lot of those down. That was real good play. Good catch-up speed by Skipper.
Catch all the fun and action.
Here you see it here. You see he's got a step on him, but Harry just good catch-up speed and gets that left hand out there in front and tips that ball away.
Pretty tough for any quarterback to earn a living throwing against Harry Skipper.
Well, that was a good throw, as a matter of fact. That was pretty well thrown, about as well as you can throw it. Just a real good defensive play. Good pressure again on Worman. There was somebody right in there quickly, but he got it away.
Stampeders come out in the same formation. 2nd and 10 from the 34-yard line. Worman looking for Emmanuel Tolbert. It's incomplete. There's a penalty flag back in the Calgary backfield. 6:59 the time remaining. It appears to be a holding call against the Stampeders.
Yeah, it looks like
Advance charge with holding.
that'll be an interesting call, because that 10 yards could possibly move him out of field goal range, and but it would give him another shot moving the ball down the field. So it's a tough call for the coaching staff right here.
Injured quarterback Rick Johnson moving back and forth along the sidelines with Coach Kuharich, and now going out to confer with quarterback Rick Worman.
Yeah, well, they're going to give Calgary another shot, make it 2nd and 20.
Second down over.
That kind of just about moves them out of field goal range, although with that breeze, if it's what we think it is with the Stampeders, they still would be within range probably.
So it's 2nd and 20 now. Worman won't get a chance to throw. Bobby Jurison, now the league leader in the sack department, dropping the Calgary quarterback.
That's right. Well, now you see that was a really good decision, because that definitely got him out of field goal range, at least for on this play, because it looks like they're going out to punt the ball. Although I think, is J.T. Hay out there? He is. They're going to be trying a 56-yarder. Well, then we at least are right on the win. It definitely is with the Calgary Stampeders in this quarter.
17th sack of the year for Bobby Jurison. He was tied with Stuart Hill of Edmonton coming into the game. J.T. Hayes' field goal attempt bounces short. Joe Fuller in the end zone trying to get it out. He succeeds, and he's got some room down the sidelines. A pretty good return by Joe Fuller, working his way up to the 21-yard line, and that's where Saskatchewan will be scrimmaging when we return.
This Canada of ours gets...
Kuharich prefers not to wear the headphones on the sidelines, and Jackie, it's probably a good thing, because with the amount of pacing he does, he'd wind up strangling himself.
Well, you know, I used to wear those headsets, and the trouble, they tie you down too much, so we finally got ours coordinated where I didn't have to wear them, and that gives you a chance to be around and talk to a lot of different players. Also doesn't just tie you up with the offense. You can get with the defensive coaches and that thing, too.
Jeff Bentram back in at quarterback. Gives to Walter Bender, but this Calgary defensive unit is ready, and that's something that Coach Kuharich talked about today, is that they are playing a much better team defense.
Yeah, when we asked him about that 6 backs and that type of thing, you know, he said it wasn't so much personnel, but as a defense. He said they had a couple of new players that were doing well, but he says as a defense, it was just a good team defense they've been playing.
They've given Harold Hallman a little more freedom in their defensive scheme as well, and he has responded with quarterback sacks in each of the last half-dozen games. An incomplete pass thrown by Jeff Bentram and forcing the Saskatchewan Roughriders into another punting situation. They just have not been able to move the football.
Here we are with that replay. Here's Aldag coming down here. This is a play that's supposed to be completed in front of those people, and then they block for them, but they couldn't hold on to the ball. Saskatchewan have had a little bit of a problem holding on to some balls in the middle of the field that have stopped drives, and you know, that's really hurt you.
Unless Terry Baker can get away a really big punt, Calgary will enjoy good field position for their next offensive series. Darcy Kopp on the return gets to midfield. Mark Ernest downfield to make the tackle with 4:51 remaining in the third quarter. Calgary Stampeders lead by 17, and it's not difficult to understand when you take a look at the statistics. Just 83 yards in total offense as compared to 330 for the Calgary Stampeders, including 17 first downs. Kirby Warren cuts it back inside for a first down to the 40-yard line.
Well, he was out here with a lot of running room. The two receivers on this side just running the defensive backs off, and there was just nobody out here when he got here. And then when he cut back inside, that made a really good gain out of that. But when you can get a running back of his abilities out there that wide open, he's going to make some yards.
Bow Valley Linen, your total linen supplier.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 40-yard line. 3 receivers wide to the left. Warman throwing the ball downfield, intended for Marshall Toner, and he was being chased by Lynn Matson and Bobby Jurison.
Warman got a little bit of a break there. They might have called him for intentionally throwing that one away because he was under a lot of pressure.
Well, there was a receiver, but that receiver was about 10 yards downfield. However, it will be 2nd and 10. And a reminder that this program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. 2nd and 10 from the 40-yard line. Warman looking into the end zone, and this one incomplete. Harry Skipper almost intercepted as the pass was intended for Larry Willis.
Yeah, that was just a little bit overthrown. Mind you, Skipper had excellent coverage on him, and it looked like he had the interception. Couldn't hold on to it, but just excellent coverage.
Well, J.T. Hay attempted a 56-yard field goal unsuccessfully on the last Stampeder possession. This kick will come from 47 yards.
Saskatchewan had a return on that last attempt by Hay, and were able to run it out to the 20-yard line. And it's a little bit easier to set up a return when they're in a field goal formation because they're all bunched up there together. You can block them in there together pretty good, and then you can get a lot of room to the wide side of the field, but he won't bring this one out.
Fuller will concede the single point as the field goal try from 47 yards out by J.T. Hay is short, but bounces into the end zone, and it's now a 21-3 game. This possession by the Roughriders will only be their 11th of the football game.
Well, they've had a lot of times when they've had to 2 plays and had to punt the ball, and that's very discouraging, you know, for your defensive team. And offensively, to get back in this football game, they've got to figure out this Calgary defense and just be able to peck away at them and make some first downs and get something consistent going.
Well, that's what Calgary has to be happy about defensively. 2 plays and out. Algard comes in motion across the formation. Bentram at quarterback. Throwing to the sidelines, incomplete, intended for David Conrad. It will be 2nd and 10.
Calgary coming with their own weak side halfback blitz there, but picked it up well by the Saskatchewan team, but Tedford just couldn't find anybody open. Very well defended.
Call ASI Music for all your entertainment needs. ASI Music.
Hey, he's got the post now. You can pull up and find and give it to him.
Well, Bentram was looking downfield, and I think we're going to get an interference call against Larry Hogue as the intended receiver, Ray McDonald, was upset. And we'll listen to Ross Barrier.
No penalty. Ball was uncatchable.
Well, they ruled, and I think that was a pretty good call, that the ball was uncatchable, and it was well over the head of McDonald.
Yeah, it certainly was. A lot of times, you know, those uncatchable balls are made uncatchable because of interference, but that certainly wasn't the case there. He had no chance to catch that one.
Well, this is becoming an all too familiar story for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 2 plays, and Terry Baker entering the ball game to punt on 3rd down. Good kick by Baker. Richie Hall takes it at the 30-yard line and has a 5-yard return before being stopped by Scott Reddle. 2:15 is the time remaining here in the 3rd quarter at McMahon Stadium. 21-3. The Stampeders lead the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Rick Johnson smiling on the sidelines, and why not? Stampeders in front by a rather comfortable 18 points.
Well, even though they haven't been able to put that many points on the board in this third quarter, they certainly control the football, and that's when you got a lead, that's one of the more important things for the offense to do.
3 receivers go wide left this time. Willis, the lone man, out to the right. There's the pitch to Herbie Warren, and Warren crosses the 40 for a gain of 5.
Well, they're pretty consistent with their running plays, though. You know, they've had some pretty good running plays. Every time they've run the ball on first down, they've usually picked up 5 or 6 yards, which you know, you consider that a successful play because you can come out there with your offense on this second down play, and they don't know whether you're going to run or they don't know whether you're going to pass, so it keeps your defense off balance.
They spot the ball at almost the 42-yard line, so it will be 2nd and 4. It's Warren again, spinning and trying to get additional yardage, and I think he may have picked up almost enough for the first down before being stopped by Bobby Jurison.
Again, that Calgary offensive line getting off the ball well, getting very good running out of Warren. Good lead block up through the hole there. Spallettini. It's just an excellent play to pick up 5 yards.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 46. We're into the final minute of the third quarter with Calgary in front of Saskatchewan by a 21-3 margin. Again, the Stampeders with 3 receivers to the left. Here comes Albright on a blitz, and he got to quarterback Rick Warman along with Bobby Jurison back at the 30-yard line. They've been trying that a couple of times. Finally, Saskatchewan is successful with Dave Albright getting through.
Well, one time they had the same blitz on before. He got through clean, but wasn't able to get Warman down. That time he had a little bit of help, and there's just nowhere for Rick Warman to go. Big loss for the Stampeders.
Well, despite the fact that the Saskatchewan Roughriders have not generated 100 yards in total offense, if they could get a touchdown quickly, Jack, they're right back in the ballgame.
Well, certainly, there's no question. The whole quarter to go here, anything can happen, and really, Calgary just haven't got what they should have got. There's Warman getting away again.
He wisely goes down. There was a penalty flag on the play. Either a procedure call or offside. We'll wait for Ross Perrier to illustrate it for us and tell us about it. And that would have been the final play of this quarter. It appears as though the penalty is against the Calgary Stampeders, with Perrier conferring with James Curry.
Looks that way.
Illegal procedure. Calgary number 89. Declined. 3rd down.
And with Saskatchewan declining the penalty, that is also the final play of the third quarter. The Calgary Stampeders in front by 18. The opening play of the fourth quarter as the teams change ends, and the Calgary Stampeders are 3rd and 25. Glenn Harper mishandles the snap, trying to move into position to get the kick away, and he succeeds. Bobby Jurison got through, but John Gregory is a little miffed, I think, that the Roughriders were unable to prevent Harper from getting that kick away. He was able to boot that football. Saskatchewan should have been able to stop Harper for a big loss, or at least that's what John Gregory feels.
Well, he was a quarterback in high school, you know, and he used to play a little soccer, so he's good at moving around there and getting rid of the ball. See, you can see pretty good. He wouldn't have got it away that time, but he does there.
So the Roughriders, after that 16-yard kick, take over at the Calgary 52-yard line. Bentram intending that pass for McDonald, incomplete. Those are not situations that punters enjoy, having to try and dodge people coming through.
That's right. Actually, Glenn Harper does a good job finally getting this ball away. He didn't get a long kick out of it. So he does. He dodges that guy and then is able to kick it. Now, you see he gets hit pretty hard right there, but it's not roughing the kicker. Once he moves out of that position, and he's fair game to get hit.
As Bentram tried to throw, his arm was hit by Vince Goldsmith, the second time that has occurred this evening. And fortunately, the Roughriders were able to get it back again, but once more, 2 plays and out.
Yeah, well, Vince Goldsmith, he did that earlier against Ventrum, and he doesn't care who's playing quarterback. He's just going to get in there where the ball is. He just come and picked it right out of his hand.
But you know, it's been tough for the Roughriders. They had Tom Burgess going so well earlier in the year, and then he went out. John Huffnagel out of the lineup. And they have had some problems at that quarterbacking position. Terry Baker's 3rd down kick. Taken by Richie Hall at the 5-yard line. And Hall is stopped at the 15.
5-yard kick by Baker.
A 55-yard kick by Terry Baker and a 10-yard return by Hall.
Here we go. A little action here that you don't see very often on this punt coverage. They're not very happy with each other. That's Tony Pearson and Glenn Suter.
And they exchange a few words, but nothing else. And on the sidelines, one of the reasons that Jeff Bentram is back in there is the problems that Jeff Tedford is having with that ankle. Kirby Warren has been running well for the Calgary Stampeders as an injury replacement for Gary Allen.
I tell you that again, that's very discouraging for the team that's down for them to come out there and make a quick 11 yards running the football on you deep in their own end. You know, those kind of things will keep you from getting the ball back, and if you do get it back, sometimes you don't have that good a field position.
1st and 10 from the 29-yard line. Warren again. And he has about 4, maybe even 5 more.
Of course, there's nothing Calgary would like better than to be able to keep the ball on the ground and not take that big a chance on a turnover with the lead they have. So I imagine if they keep getting holes like that, they may just keep right on running, although somebody is down now.
Well, Saskatchewan had opportunities in the first half with those 3 turnovers, but they were unable to capitalize. That is Andy McVeigh being treated by Pat Clayton, the athletic therapist for the Stampeders. You know, if the Stampeders are able to hang on in this game, as we see McVeigh get hit.
Did he ever? Albright was filling that hole. He was the guy that's been doing the blocking there for Warren, and gosh, I tell you, that was quite a collision. Albright said, well, you're not going to get a hole like that in here again, and he and McVeigh really had a collision.
Well, with McVeigh going out, Mas Jeremiah goes into the ball game. To continue that thought, a win for Calgary would move them within 2 points of the 2nd-place BC Lions, and they have a home-and-home series upcoming against the BC Lions.
Yeah, they're certainly not out of that yet.
Complete to Warren, a good move to spin away from the first tackle, and he escaped Eddie Lowe and gets a gain of 17 yards.
Yeah, that was quite a move he made in there. Made a little think like he was going to run inside and just spun outside and found some running room. Pretty good pressure that time on Warren, but he stood right in there and found the receiver. There he is. You can see the pressure. He just got it off. There's a little move. You don't fool Eddie Lowe that often in that open field, but he put a move on him that time.
1st and 10, Calgary from the 46-yard line. Penalty flags fly as Warren goes down. James Curry made the tackle. 11:45 remains in the football game. 21-3 is the score.
Holding Calgary number 61.
That's the 2nd time that left guard Tom Spolatini has been fingered for holding. He's a product of the University of Calgary. He's played well for the Stampeders.
Yeah, he's an excellent player. He's a very steady player. Most of those offensive linemen will claim they never hold, but it's pretty hard to play that game up there with the kind of defensive lineman you're playing against without holding just a little bit every once in a while.
That takes the ball back to the 36-yard line. It's 1st and 20 now for Calgary. But more importantly for the Stampeders, the clock continues to run as those seconds tick away, and Calgary in front by that 21-3 margin. Orman's sideline pass to Emmanuel Tolbert will result in a gain of about 4 yards. He was taken out of bounds by Rod Fisher.
Well, they're guys that say, you know, they're content, I think, to keep possession of that football and not really take the chances of turning it over. Now, this is a second long play here. In this kind of situation, you might see a screen or a draw, but you know, Calgary, if they go up on top, they got the speed outside to hurt you.
A gain of 4 for Talbert as it is 2nd and 16 at the 40-yard line. Herrick never stands in one spot on those sidelines in front of the Calgary bench. He's constantly on the move. Larry Willis has been on the move quite a bit tonight too, but he wasn't able to hang on to that throw in front of Glenn Suter.
Again, that was more or less one of those safe type of throws that you might catch it and run for the intercepted.
Well, this time the Calgary punter, Glenn Harper, is hoping that he will get that pass back from center just a little higher, and he won't have to reach down around his ankles to try and control it. It is a good snap. But into that breeze, the ball bounces, and Fuller fields it at the 38-yard line. Fuller is caught by Lamont Jeffers. No return on that Glenn Harper punt with 10:43 remaining in the game. Well, there are some Saskatchewan fans who haven't lost the spirit, or perhaps are enjoying some. But they're having a good time here at McMahon Stadium. They'd have a better time if the Roughriders weren't trailing by 18 points.
Now, they'd be really happy, I think, if they could move down and get some points. You know, when you think of one guy getting hurt, you don't think of the one change. But when Majors got hurt, it caused Larry Holt to have to move out here on this corner. Peterson moves from safety to the halfback spot, and Darcy Cup goes into safety. So it's actually 3 changes.
Incomplete. Intended for Tony Dennis. The Roughriders have still not hit 100 yards in total offense.
Well, their defense has played actually pretty good from still being in this ballgame, not controlling the ball any more than they have.
Kirby Warren, with 16 carries for 81 yards, has almost as many yards himself as the Saskatchewan offense. 2nd and 10 from the 37-yard line. Bentram setting up the screen, but Bernie Morrison, the middle linebacker, was ready for it. He stopped Walter Bender right in his tracks.
Yeah, Bernie's seen a lot of those screens in his time, and that one, he saw that quarterback drop back there just a little bit too far, further than they usually do, and he did it pretty quickly. So Bernie just took a look outside and saw that back creeping out there, so he was right out there with him.
Bernie Morrison joining the Stampeders out of the University of Manitoba, spending 10 years with the club. Terry Baker has punted more than he wanted to tonight. Richie Hall fields it at the 20-yard line. And Hall is stopped as he crosses the 25. It was Al Johns who tripped him up, limiting the return to 7 yards after a 51-yard kick.
Yeah, Richie's always been able to dance around with that football on those punt returns. If you don't watch him, he'll break one on you, too.
9:33 is the time remaining. The Roughriders desperately need the ball and have to get something going offensively. But the Calgary Stampeders have the football at the moment, and they'll try and move the ball and at the same time use up as much time as possible. Fake pitch, and they give it inside to McVeigh for a gain of about 6. Let's bring in Scott O.
Don, it is either a broken big toe or a badly sprained big toe that has Jeff Tedford sitting on the Saskatchewan bench right now, the latest in a series of Saskatchewan quarterbacks to suffer an injury. The Riders have their fingers crossed that Jeff Bentram will make it to the end of this game, because it would be tough for Jeff Tedford to go back in.
Yes, those quarterbacking woes for the Saskatchewan Roughriders continue here at McMahon Stadium with the loss of Tedford. Warman looking down the sidelines. It was intended for Emmanuel Tolbert. It is incomplete. He was being covered by Joe Fuller. So the Roughriders will get the football back with 8:37 remaining in the football game.
Yeah, they need to get a good return here. Maybe put some pressure on Ben Harper again. Get some good field position. Get down and get some quick points. This might change things around for them.
Well, I think John Gregory would like to see Joe Fuller running towards the end zone instead of towards the sidelines on those punt returns. The Roughriders block it. They were going after it, and they got it. It was Harry Skipper who was able to block the ball, and it's knocked out of bounds by Eddie Lowe at the 11-yard line. So the Roughriders manufacture a break, and will have it 1st and 10 at the 11 with 8:19 remaining.
Eddie Lowe had a big chance to pick that up and maybe run it into the end zone, but those linebackers have a little bit of trouble, you know, with picking up that football. Most of them got a lot of tape on their hands and all that kind of thing. Couldn't quite find a handle on it. Good pressure on the punter there. That was Harry Skipper, I believe. Eddie's kicking it there a little bit. He finally rolls it out of bounds over there somewhere, but there it is. That's Skipper. Skipper's blocked a few of those in his line.
So the Roughriders have a chance to get right back into the ball game. Bentram, incomplete. Bernie Morrison, the middle linebacker, took a deep drop and knocked that ball down that was intended for McDonald.
Another big play by Morrison because he had a receiver open just on the goal line, and Morrison cut right in front of him, knocked it away.
Terry Cochran comes into the ball game. David Conrad goes to the bench. 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 12-yard line. 7:44 the time left. Bentram's pass was deflected. I think it was Vince Goldsmith that got a hand on it. Bentram was simply trying to dump it off, and Goldsmith got his hand up and knocked it away.
Oh, they were pouring through there. He didn't have much time to find a receiver or anything else. He had to get rid of that ball.
Well, the Rough Rider defense certainly cannot be faulted for the way they have performed this evening. It's the offense that has had all sorts of difficulty in moving the football. And now they send out Dave Ridgway. He'll be attempting a field goal from the 19-yard line.
Well, they could get within 15 points of Calgary on this play, and they scored a couple of touchdowns.
Here's a fake, and Glenn Suter is going to run it in.
Yeah, fine play.
Roger Aldag threw a key block, and Glenn Suter, who normally holds for Dave Ridgway field goal tries, runs it in. And I think John Gregory is signaling a 2-point conversion try.
Here it is right here, and they've got everybody fooled. They're out there running, and there's Aldag out there leading the way. He makes a block down there, which brings him in for the touchdown. Conrad was there too, blocking.
So Glenn Suter scores the Rough Riders' first touchdown. Let's take another look at it.
There it is. See, they got him fooled pretty good here, so he's out here open, but there's some good blocking on there. There's Aldag there, and there's Conrad.
So the Rough Riders now will go after the 2-point conversion. Bentram throwing into the end zone, and it's complete to Tony Dennis, but there are penalty flags.
That was quite a catch, no matter what happens, because he couldn't get much better coverage than they had on him, and they were inside of him and everything else. He just jumped up and got it.
Forward pass interference. Calgary number 27 declined. Convert good.
So the 2-point conversion stands, and it's now 21-11 with 7:12 remaining, and we'll be back with the Rider kickoff after this. Field goal that worked successfully along with the 2-point conversion. I'm sure some people thought he might attempt to execute a short kickoff, but with 7:11 remaining, there is still plenty of time left if his defense can hold. They also had to prevent Ron Hopkins from coming up with a big return, and Hopkins got it out to the 43-yard line before being stopped by Dave Sidhu. That was a 35-yard run back for Ron Hopkins.
Yeah, well, that's a big play for Calgary right now, because with Saskatchewan going down there able to score those points on them, why they got within 10 points, so they get it back to return there and don't make a first down. Saskatchewan being right there knocking on the door again.
Two receivers wide to the left. Hand off to Andy McVeigh. He is unable to break the grasp of Steve Crane.
You know, we mentioned earlier that no matter what happened during the games all year, Saskatchewan just never, they never seemed to give up or quit or anything, and they've made a lot of comebacks. I know against us in Edmonton, they made quite a comeback, but and they were well behind in that ball game. Certainly they were well behind in this one, but they're still playing very, very hard.
Well, of course, it was a big comeback by Calgary in the opening game of the season that enabled them to score a 29-28 victory over the Roughriders at Taylor Field. Bobby Jurison made the tackle, and there was a penalty flag on the play as he brought down Kirby Warren. 6:09 remaining in the ball game.
Illegal procedure. Calgary.
Well, the Roughriders will decline that illegal procedure call.
You get a shot here, maybe of Jurison making this tackle all the way from the offside. He comes over there and really puts a hit on Warren.
Well, you talked earlier, Jack, about the speed of the rush ends in the league. You've got a person like Bobby Jurison. You've got Stuart Hill in Edmonton, Stuman in BC. Tyrone Jones basically as a rush end in Winnipeg. Those fellas can move.
Well, you know, that's where you want them, out there where they got some room, where they can maneuver around the big tackles and do some stunts and things. And gosh, that's a bunch of good football players you just mentioned there.
Roughriders going after another block, and this time Harper gets away a good kick. It almost appeared as though Tony Dennis wasn't certain where that football was. The penalty flag goes down. It could be a no-yards call against the Stampeders. There were about 5 of them down there waiting as that ball bounced high after a 36-yard kick by Glenn Harper.
It's hard to know what the call was. We'll have to wait and find out, because for no yards it was thrown rather late.
No penalty.
No penalty. Right. See there?
Dennis was looking around. The ball bounces back towards the line of scrimmage.
Number 28.
However, they rule that the flag was thrown in error. So with 5:42 remaining, Jeff Bentram will try and move the green and white machine downfield from the 28-yard line. There's a pitch on the reverse to McDonald, but he has 3 people out there waiting for him, and it is Jeffers who pushes him out of bounds.
They certainly had that play figured out. It kind of fooled me, because it looked like the quarterback was going to get sacked right away, and he pitched it out on the reverse, but Calgary weren't fooled at all. They had a lot of people out there in pursuit.
Well, as we said earlier, if Calgary wins, they'll move within 2 points of the BC Lions. So that game for the Lions tomorrow at CNE Stadium in Toronto takes on added importance, and you'll be able to watch that one on the CBC television network. And a reminder for all our viewers in the Toronto area, the blackout for the game has been lifted. The pass is complete to Walter Bender, and he won't get the first down. He was hit by Larry Hogue up at the 35-yard line and driven back. Jackie, are my eyes deceiving me, or does Jeff Bentram seem to have a little different throwing action from what we've seen earlier in the season?
Well, earlier in the year, I thought that he had a pretty good overhand action and a pretty good release, but it looks like he's throwing a little bit sidearm. Now, I don't know whether that's because of having to move around in the pocket a lot, or whether his arm might be a little bit sore. He might have some sort of injury.
Terry Baker lined up in punt formation. There's the fake, and they are going to get the first down. Terry Cochran took that direct snap as Terry Baker lined up in punt formation and ran it for a first down.
That's an old single wing type play there, where that upback just sits there with the ball at him. Everybody watches those other backs run off and leave him, but he makes a fine run to make that first down. Calgary actually played that pretty good. They sure fooled me.
So Ron Lancaster, looking in, will be pleased with that performance by Terry Cochran, because he is a family friend of the Lancasters. And he made a pretty good move to get away from Bernie Morrison. Donald Narcisse gets another first down, so the Roughriders are still alive with 4:11 remaining in the football game.
Well, I'm not sure now, Don. I guess he must have stepped out of bounds, because they're marking that a little bit shorter than the first down.
Yes, they are. They're spotting the ball over there at the 52-yard line. It will be a gain of about 8.5. Well, the Roughriders have gone gambling tonight, faking a field goal. That Direct snap on third down, and they get the first down with Walter Bender driving into Calgary territory at the 53 with 3:45 remaining in the game. And following the game, we will be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a Canadian public company providing leadership in the world of high technology and capital equipment leasing. Canada Lease makes your money work better for you. First and 10, the Roughriders at the Calgary 52-yard line. Ventrum was looking out into the flat.
I don't know whether that ball got tipped or not. It could have at the line of scrimmage, but if it didn't, it wasn't a very good throw. He just couldn't seem to get anything on it. I think the ball must have gotten tipped. But they were trying to hit a little quick play action pass out there in the flat and let a running back have some room. But Calgary all at once here with their fake punt play and their fake field goal play have kind of gotten back in this game, making it a little exciting here at the end.
10 points separating the two. Calgary on top. Second and 10 from the 52-yard line. Ventrum completes the pass to McDonald for a first down as McDonald gets to the 33. Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are putting together a spirited fourth quarter comeback here. John Gregory, the head coach of the Roughriders, got a little excited there just after that pass completion to McDonald. He wanted the Roughriders to go with their hurry-up offense. Darcy Kopp, who had replaced Chris Major, was injured on this play. So that means a wide receiver, Robert Turner, has now gone in there as a defensive back. Of course, at training camp, that was the position at which Turner attempted to win a job. Penalty flags fly as Ventrum goes down, and the ball is fumbled and recovered by Eugene Beliveau. Harold Hallman made the hit on Ventrum, knocking the ball away, and Beliveau was there to scoop it up.
Boy, what a big play for Calgary, because Saskatchewan was definitely threatening, and they get down and get some points right here. That would put a lot of pressure on them, but big defensive play there, and Calgary takes over. Calgary taking over right there really is going to make Coach Kaharick feel a lot better, I'll tell you that. It's not going to do much for Coach Gregory, though.
Penalty on the play as well against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and that moves the ball up to the 52-yard line.
Coach Gregory, he's trying to figure out how come they got the ball in the penalty too, I'm sure.
Kirby Warren has some room down the sidelines and then wisely steps out of bounds in front of Glenn Sutter down at the 30-yard line. And that will put Kirby Warren over 100 yards.
Yeah, he's having quite a night, isn't he? Yeah, there he goes. Gee, good blocking. They really got him out there with a lot of room to run. He makes the most of it. Gets down, gets out of bounds, picks up big yardage. That was a couple of times tonight. Calgary's been able to get the running back out there with nobody around him close at that line of scrimmage, and that kind of back, he's going to get a lot of yardage on you if you can get that in your offensive formation.
This time they come with Andy McVeigh. He gets a hole. He continues fighting, and he's down to about the 12-yard line. There's a penalty flag on the play. The ball pops loose and is scooped up by Bobby Jurison, but the whistle had gone.
Had a little bit of mix-up at the start of that play, too. Warren was supposed to lead through that hole, or at least tried to, and they both arrived at the hole at about the same time. So Warren and McVeigh both hit each other, but it just popped him right through the hole.
Major follow, face mask, Saskatchewan number 25.
Yeah, when you get it going good, everything seems to happen to you, doesn't it?
Well, it has really turned around when the Roughriders gambled on that third down punt with the direct snap to Terry Cochran. They were able to put together a couple of first downs and looked as though they might just make a ball game out of it. But you see Rod Fisher grabbing the face mask of McVeigh. No question about that one, resulting in the penalty flag. And now the Calgary Stampeders appear in position to put this one away.
Well, it sure looks like it, although the way things have been happening, it changed back and forth quite a bit here in the last 5 or 6 minutes. But that was a big run by McVeigh, and then the face mask penalty tacked onto it. They're going to they're going to be down around the 5-yard line or so.
They spot the ball at the 7, first and goal with 2:29 remaining. As Jeremiah has gone into the ball game, 23 first downs for Calgary, just 8 for Saskatchewan. And it wasn't until late in this fourth quarter that the Roughriders were able to go over 100 yards in offense.
Well, they really struggled, especially in that first 3 quarters. Just had a heck of a time against that Calgary defense. Of course, Calgary's really been coming after them. Bernie Morrison's had a great game. Goldsmith.
Number of people have performed well, including this man. He's got a touchdown. Kirby Warren, his second touchdown of the game.
Well, that was good. That was a well-blocked play, but to get it in the end zone just took a lot of extra effort because he was going to make 3 or 4 yards because of the way the play was blocked. But that last 2 yards, he just got that with ability.
So that will put it away and move the Calgary Stampeders within 2 points of the British Columbia Lions.
Here we go. See, that's this little sweep with him being able to go out there and just check the hole, see where they blocked it for him. You can see he just gets that last 2 or 3 yards with real good ability.
Second touchdown of the game for Kirby Warren. The point after by J.T. Hay. And that makes it 28-11. The first time these two teams met on June the 21st at Taylor Field, it was a fourth quarter comeback by the Calgary Stampeders that resulted in a 29-28 win.
See, that's really good vision there, and he just runs through a couple of people. Right after he gets a little hole in that line of scrimmage, he gets up there running behind those shoulders, keeping those legs moving, and gets it in the end zone.
Warren with 118 rushing yards. He has been on the receiving end of another 65. He has a touchdown running and a touchdown passing.
It's a pretty good performance, isn't it?
Well, Warren got his chance to play because of a tailbone injury that felled Gary Allen. Allen may have some problems getting his job back now on the basis of this performance by Kirby Warren.
Well, I tell you, another guy you got to give a lot of credit to is McVay, because he's been in there and he hasn't really played all that much this year, and he's certainly been instrumental in a lot of those running plays. Now, Jeremiah, as we were told today, the one thing that he does awfully well is block, and he came in for McVay and really did a nice job blocking.
Walter Bender on the kickoff return, being chased across the field and then taken down by Robert Turner. A 45-yard kick and a 12-yard run back. Well, Jeff Bentram started the game. He gave way to Jeff Tedford late in the second quarter. Tedford started the third quarter, but he suffered that ankle injury or toe injury. And now Bentram is forced to come back into the ball game.
Of course, those toe injuries are not that uncommon.
Bernie Morrison comes up with an interception. The veteran linebacker puts the Calgary Stampeders in scoring position again, taking the ball back to the 46-yard line.
Well, I tell you, Morrison's had a big game. And he's now at this stage of the game, he knows they got to throw. They're just dropping into their zone, and there's not many people in the league any better than Bernie at zone defense. And he's just there reading the quarterback and moved over. Inexperienced quarterback's going to throw it, especially at this time of the game. You can't take a loss. You got to go ahead and throw the ball, and Bernie's right there to be the opportunist.
First and 10, Calgary. The ball at the 41 of the Saskatchewan Roughriders with 2:07 remaining. Jeremiah with a big hole. And it takes 3 Roughriders to bring him down, but not before he got inside the 20-yard line.
Well, that's it. It's one thing. It's turned out to be a really good move for the Stampeders is to they got a little bit more speed at the outside receiver by being able to start McVay, and certainly with this performance tonight by McVay and Jeremiah both, it's going to be tough to move those guys out of there.
Well, you saw the look of resignation on the face of John Gregory, the Saskatchewan coach. Kirby Warren is forced out of bounds with a gain of 5. This loss does not mathematically eliminate the Roughriders. They still have 5 games remaining, but trailing by 7 points. They have to win a lot of games and get some help from the BC Lions and Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Of course, that's a pretty tough 4 games that Calgary's got left. You know, playing Hamilton back-to-back and BC back-to-back, and you know, so certainly anything could happen. Oh, the mascot even got into the action over there. I don't think he got hit that hard, though.
Fisher forcing Warren out of bounds, and McVeigh is back in there, and he'll be very close to a first down inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, they're just grinding it out now. That offensive line still coming off the ball good. Backs running very, very hard. So they're able to move the ball down the field. That's going to be very close, as you say.
Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to join us here on Sunday, October 25th. The Stampeders next home game against the BC.
Now, is it a first down? Tough to tell from that angle, and it is a first down. Just by the tip of the football. So from just inside the 10, it is now first and goal, as the Stampeders are moving in on 500 yards total offense. 256 of those yards as the result of pass completions by Rick Warman. McVeigh gets inside the 5, down to about the 3-yard line.
They put Jeremiah and McVeigh both in the game at the same time. Kirby Warren must be over here on the sideline somewhere.
Well, certainly some pressure now on the BC Lions, with 2 games coming up against the Calgary Stampeders and only leading Calgary by 2. They face the Toronto Argonauts at CNE Stadium tomorrow, and Steve Armitage, Ron Lancaster, and Brian Williams will be there to bring that one to you. And remember, in the Toronto area, the blackout has been lifted. Second and goal. Jeremiah is going to be caught and thrown down by James Curry. Got to the line of scrimmage, and that was about all.
Saskatchewan that time just lined up and brought everybody. They felt, I guess, well, if they want to throw it, let them throw it, because they're going to stop the run, and they did.
James Curry, a very outspoken individual, not at all shy about voicing his opinions, and he had some comments about various CFL situations to make this week. Here's the handoff straight ahead, and it's a touchdown for Mas Jeremiah as he reached out and got into the end zone. Or did he get into the end zone? No, they say no, he didn't get there.
They're going to rule him down on the
he didn't break the plane, apparently. He was reaching out. It looked initially as though he had reached out and put that ball into the end zone, but apparently he was down before he got there.
Here it is right here. You get a good look at it. This is very determined running in there. There's a lot of people that he has to kind of run over, but you can see there his knees hit the ground before the ball gets over the plane. Good call there, ref.
And he just got the ball to the line as he reaches up. So the Roughriders at their own 1-yard line with 22 seconds remaining. And Walter Bender is stopped after an advance of maybe 1. Stampeders back-to-back games with the BC Lions. They face the Lions next week. Then they have a break in the schedule before entertaining the Lions here at McMahon Stadium on the 25th of October. Quarterback draw with Jeff Bentram. And Bentram fights his way out to the 8-yard line. Time for one more play with just 5 seconds showing on the clock.
Gain of 5. We're down.
Well, as you mentioned before there, Don, it's going to be a rough, tough road for Saskatchewan to remain alive in the playoffs, but stranger things have happened, and as I say, they keep playing hard. They can certainly mathematically do it.
Well, mathematically, they have not been eliminated, but they do trail now by 7 points with 5 games remaining. Ventram keeps, and that is the end of the ball game. The Calgary Stampeders defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders for the second time this season by a score of 28-11. It's been a rough year for the rookie head coach, John Gregory. He still has 5 games remaining. We'll be back right after this.
Have a safe drive.